Good evening, I'm Jason Johnson, and pretty much we're back, and I'm back pretty much this year pretty much. So to begin, let's go off this. Four top stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling just got signed to WWE: AJ Styles, Karl Anderson, Gallows, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, now it's correct. Now the question is, what's gonna happen? I don't know. Basically, what we have here is someone WWE should have signed 15 years ago. A star, pretty much not really a lot of people have heard of. Another guy who pretty much debuted as a fake Kane and pretty much right next to Boy Festus. Lest we forget biscuits and gravy. And for finally, a wrestler that no one's really heard of outside of Japan. Not a lot of people have heard outside of Japan. So basically, that John Cena breaks the news Pro Wrestling Pro Wrestling Insider that he has a rotator cuff surgery. Torn rotator cuff surgery. Pretty much, he is most likely to miss WrestleMania. Basically, right now, pretty much the main event of WrestleMania now is going to be Roman Reigns and The Rock just sitting down and having pretty much dinner. Which is going to suck. That's going to suck. And finally, pretty much the Bengals pretty much make the playoffs again, and pretty much had the chance had won their first playoff game in almost 25 years, and when Vonda's Perfect sealed it. Watch what happened. The next thing you know, it takes 2 minutes for him to absolutely ruin it, to become a legend and a hero, then becomes the GOAT. So yeah, I'm Jason Johnson, and this is a JJ MMA production. Alright, welcome back. It's 2016, first video of 2016. So, let's begin. So, like I said, beginning. So, four top stars, mere minutes after Japan's version of WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom, pretty much Dave Messler of Wrestling Observer filled in the news, pretty much telling that four top stars from New Japan Wrestling was being signed to WWE. Those four stars: AJ Styles, Gallows, Karl Anderson, and Shinsuke Nakamura were signed pretty much. Now, the collective vocation of every wrestling fan in the world has been, on the internet, has been, oh, they're gonna screw this up. I know they are. Pretty much, well, that's the thing. Basically, the first thing is, what about these wrestlers? Well, first one is someone pretty much explain to the most casual wrestling fan is kind of difficult as it is kind of very difficult to begin with. Basically, explain New Japan Wrestling to someone, it would be a video in it of itself, and that's something that's gonna be a long. Plus, by the time if I did this right now and pretty much talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, and pretty much it would be this video will be about 3 hours long. So basically, I'll probably do something like that another time. But for now, pretty much we're gonna talk about who these signees are. The first one is someone. Now, the first one is pretty much someone even the most casual wrestling fan Even if you watch wrestling once, you've probably heard of this guy already. Right. So AJ Styles is pretty much what is known as the phenomenal one. He is also known as Mr. TNA. Now, not in the porn way. Okay, he is, when you think of TNA, is a wrestling company that debuted in 2002. He wrestled for his promotion in their first show, and he has wrestled for that promotion on and off for about 12 years. Basically, he has done a lot of things. He has competed currently. He has competed against former WWE stars such as Jeff Hardy, the Dudleys, who are actually there right now, for Kurt Angle, and he is also facing current WWE mainstay Samoa Joe, who who he feuded with, along with Christopher Daniels, who is known as the King of the Indies, pretty much, and compete in the unbreakable in the only TNA rated 5-star match ever in their promotion's history, which was the Unbreakable Freeway match in 2005. If you don't know, if you've never seen this match, basically something that you should watch. And if you're trying to get into professional wrestling more, this would be a good starting point for like the modern wrestling fan. A good starting point. So he besides that, he has also competed in Ring of Honor when Ring of Honor, where he also feuded against current WWE mainstay and TNA rival Samoa Joe. He also competed with other WWE mainstays such as Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. In 2014, he decided to take his talents to Japan, where he competed in the New Japan Pro Wrestling promotion, where he actually won their championship, which in his debut match. Seriously, this man won his first championship. He won the World Championship in the second biggest promotion in the world in his very first match with this company, which is a very big deal. Despite that, other than that, he has also done well enough in TNA. Speaking of TNA, pretty much he has won a TNA record 6 X Division titles. He has won the promotion's heavyweight championship twice. He also won the promotion's tag team championships twice. He was TNA's first ever Grand Slam champion. If you don't know what a Grand Slam champion is a wrestler who has won four championships in the same promotion. In that promotion during his tenure with that promotion. Also, he also was a member of TNA's version of Four Horsemen, which was Fortune, which sounds like a horrible name for a boy band name since Freak Out. Basically, he has done it all. Especially, also, he has made big accomplishments in 2010, where he became #1 in the Pro Wrestling Insider's top 500 wrestlers. Pro Wrestling Insider is basically the Sports Illustrated of professional wrestling. Basically, and pretty much, he was a big fish in a small pond. And basically, he is a big fish in a small pond. He also won Wrestler of the Year in 2014. He is a shoo-in for probably Wrestler of the Year in 2015, and possibly has a Match of the Year candidate ready against Shinsuke Nakamura at the Wrestle Kingdom pay-per-view on January 4th. Seriously, search, which is another one they can search, and it's a match that was pretty good to begin with. Now, pretty good to begin with. basically he has done a lot of things with the he has done a lot of things. He has done these things, great matches and great things. And this is a main eventer that pretty much WWE has, especially right now, considering their main roster is starting to is going downhill. Is gone a little bit down south. So yeah, basically, so basically that's about AJ Styles. That's about AJ Styles. The next two are pretty much our tag team, so I'm gonna put them both in the same category. Alright, so back to what I was saying about these two. They are pretty much a tag team who are part of a big faction in Japan, who is the Bullet Club. Now, imagine if the NWO and DX somehow got together. Basically, they took the NWO's black t-shirt cheek invading thing, pretty much, and DX's cocky, suck it attitude and whatever. You know, you got the Bullet Club, who was a big popular faction in Japan, who was founded by Fergal Devitt, aka Prince Devitt, aka who's currently in WWE's NXT, who's the NXT champion, Finn fucking Balor. Finn Balor. So basically, it's a popular faction. It's basically someone, and pretty much when you think now, when you think about Bullet Club now, one of the reasons you will think of is Karl Anderson and Doc Gallows, who have held the tag team championships in Japan for a number of occasions for this faction, most notably losing their championships at Wrestle Kingdom. Basically, one big proponent of this faction thing. So, big thing is pretty much so basically about now it's enough about Suma's team. Individually, Karl Anderson, he has worked with New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2008, and there hasn't I hadn't heard much about this guy, about this person in any wrestling promotions, but he has been ranked number 64, as high as number 64 in the PWI's 500, top 500 in the world, and Doc Gallows, who actually was in WWE later in the career when he started out as the Fake Kane in 2006, and pretty much he also, a couple of years later, he debuted again as the Redneck Slow Boy Festus in the tag team Jesse and Festus. Lest forget Biscuits and Gravy. And he did miles better by being a second in command to CM Punk in a Straight Edge Society. So I don't know why WWE didn't really keep him, but basically after 8 years later, as being pretty much one of the big, large gentleman tag teams in possibly in Japanese wrestling history, pretty much Doc Gallows is coming back to WWE, proving that he can go, and Karl Anderson will get who actually is getting his chance to be in the top of Western wrestling, top of the Western wrestling industry. Recent news actually speculated that they will possibly be in NXT is in early March. Now the three wrestlers I just talked about were talked about guys who've had experience in the Western style of wrestling. The next one I'm going to talk about is the last one, is what WB calls the big guy. Now, not Ryback, if you're thinking of that guy. No, it's never him at all. Now, the next guy is pretty much someone who pretty much who if you ever watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, so I hadn't heard much about. I never really watched New Japan Pro Wrestling that much, but damn it, I love Shinsuke Nakamura. He is probably starting to become one of my favorite wrestlers in ever, ever, ever. Pretty much, basically, who Shinsuke Nakamura is, basically is this. Imagine if Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, oh boy, Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels were all in one person. He was from Japan, and imagine if his knees were replaced with hammers. Basically, that's what you get. You get Shinsuke Nakamura from that. Basically, one thing is his signature move is the Bomaye knee, and it is basically really, really stiff. Basically, what, basically how does it feel? Basically, it will basically imagine get hit in the face. Imagine like stuff like pretty much. Imagine watching UFC. Basically, think of all those knees. Someone gets imagine a knee in the face. Yeah, it's pretty much that stiff for realsies. Because of that move, pretty much its nickname has become the King of Strong Style. What is strong style, you ask? Basically, in wrestling terminology, it is wrestling that really, really hurts. Basically, the stiffest move WWE, and now the thing is, how can WWE handle pretty much that? Well, that's the thing. WWE hasn't really worked out well with strong style as much as the next guy, but the closest thing to stiff is pretty much Daniel Bryan's running knee and maybe Big Show's KO punch, but it doesn't give that oomph, you know what I'm saying? No, that spice, you know? So, thing is, WWE is going to have a hard time wondering how they can push something like that. Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Basically, I don't know what can WWE do. Basically, I'm kind of nervous about that. That is something I am worried about. Basically, I don't know what they can do. Basically, if they can't figure out how to deal with something like this, basically, we might see something that kind of would be something like this. Basically, it could be they're gonna name him something very dumb and maybe racist. Especially the stuff of pretty much all the stuff of Hulk Hogan out of the open. Basically, WWE probably is gonna be like try to do something crazy, stupid, or racist, and it could be something like this. They're gonna name him Mitsubishi Nintendo or whatever. Pretty much team him up with Dean Ambrose, and at that time they just spray people with mustard and run people over with golf carts and whatnot, and pretty much ABL's gonna be like, he's out of control, I love it, man, blah 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 blah. And no, basically, if you're a wrestling fan, as a WWE fan, basically at this point, basically what you do pretty much from Shinsuke Nakamura has a match, you pretty much put their TV on mute. Because basically, at this point, because JBL is not allowed to even, in fact, JBL even take off his headset and during a match, during Shinsuke Nakamura's match, and don't say a word. In fact, Michael Cole, Brian Saxton aren't good enough to do it either. Only people will probably know is probably JR and might be and possibly a heel Jerry Lawler. Only those two are probably good enough for Call Nakamura's matches. Basically, what WWE needs to do is pretty much make him like a Japanese Brock Lesnar. Basically, a Japanese Brock Lesnar pretty much have his own belt like Taz did in ECW called the Fuck You belt. pretty much have him pretty much be a dominant young force in pretty much the mid card, pretty much make him pretty much be like someone who will terrorize every man, woman, and child in the freaking country. If that doesn't happen, I will be possibly making some very whiny videos, okay? So yeah, it's, believe me. Now, what do I know about all these wrestlers? Basically, all I know is pretty much WWE, they hadn't all been currently signed yet to this company yet, but the thing is, it's pretty much there right now. All we know is basically they're pretty much in something we call Schrodinger's wrestler. It's just basically a box, pretty much. We don't know if they're going to be good or bad. We just know, we're just worried what's going to happen and will be. But the thing is, it's pretty much a big get. It's pretty much going to be a big thing. Also, WWE has had a bit of a bad track record with talented wrestlers from Japan. Pretty much like wrestlers like Tajiri, pretty much Takamichi Noku, and Kunfunagi. But they did do some things the past couple of years. Pretty much show that pretty much they are not the same. They're not really, that WWE isn't that bad with Japanese talents. Pretty much guys like Jushin Thunder Liger showing up at NXT, having a great match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. NXT stars like Hideo Itami and Asuka have made a great, pretty much had been ruined. So, and also the WWE Network is currently available, is just became available in Japan. So basically, this point is pretty much the reason why they probably did that is to get more people to watch from Japan to probably watch their shows, because basically if they've seen someone compete for 2+ years in their own home, I'm probably sure they would spend $10 worth of, pretty much the equivalent of $10, Japanese equivalent of $10 to watch, $10 a month to watch these wrestlers here. Basically this one we're going to see is pretty much four big stars pretty much are going to be making WWE better and possibly could change the landscape of Western wrestling. Especially AJ Styles and Nakamura, who will probably do very well. Pretty much, and by the looks of this, I know what you're thinking, basically, well, it looks like WrestleMania is going to be a pretty good card, right? Well, except one more thing, and that was the John Cena injury. It's John Cena announcing his injury. Yeah. Now, I'm not much of a John Cena fan, but this is a big deal for WWE because pretty much John Cena broke the news at a PWI interview, pretty much that John Cena has a torn rotator cuff. He will need surgery, and he will most likely be out till WrestleMania. First, be out for WrestleMania. So, I hope John Cena gets better. That's one idea. And the second thing, very much what Vince's impression of, this is pretty much what Vince's impression of probably the injury itself. I mean, what is happening to WWE? Because basically, this is a big deal, especially in WWE's case, because basically, this is the big injury to pretty much some of their top stars. And let me explain something to you. From last year's WrestleMania to now, pretty much almost all the champions have been injured. Seriously, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, Iron. Nikki Bella, the Divas Champion. Oh, no one cares about the Divas Champion. But no one cares about that Divas Championship belt. And pretty much both members of the Tag Team Champions are injured. Pretty much, there was a joke, pretty much, that a lot of internet fans said, there's probably something in WWE's drinking water. Right now, it looks like Lil B pretty much cursed them just like he did to James Harden. Just like he did to James Harden and possibly Russell Westbrook. And what Russell Westbrook is pretty much I don't know what, somehow WWE needs an exorcist to help this out. Pretty much, right now, Vince McMahon, at this point, he's probably canceling every house show, especially the house show in Louisville, which, let's face it, no one really would care about going to a house show inside a 22,000 seated arena. Basically, there will be some fans, but there won't be a lot of fans. Basically, right now, at this point, just Vince McMahon is just taping Roman Reigns up with pillows, probably giving him a bulletproof vest to wear, and possibly some riot gear or whatever. Just stay there, woman. Just stay there. I'll not have you die, damn it. Just basically, right now, the main event, the WrestleMania card is not. It's January now. The Royal Rumble is less than 2 weeks from now, and pretty much right now at this point, it's gonna be just Roman Reigns and The Rock just having dinner. Like I said in the beginning, it's gonna be just Roman Reigns and The Rock just sitting down, just having dinner. Probably and pretty much it's gonna be like very much fucking just have a family reunion. Just pretty much have a family reunion of all your family. Pretty much have a Rock's granddad, IGP by video, who is pretty much the patriarch of the whole bloodline of The Rock and Roman Reigns bloodline. So basically have them there, pretty much fight all their family. Dad, mom, their dad's mom, mothers, pretty much their brothers, their sisters, their cousins. Hell, that's pretty much gonna be WrestleMania. Just them having a family reunion. 3 hours just playing games and just watching, just doing whatever. Pretty much just talking. Pretty much it's gonna be just a normal event. Pretty much it's just gonna be in front of an empty AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Not only does this affect the card, and not only does it affect what's going to happen, this also affects the match John Cena that WWE planned between John Cena and The Undertaker, which is most likely to be The Undertaker's The Dead Man's very last WrestleMania matchup. Very last WrestleMania matchup. Pretty much and this is actually, in someone like The Undertaker, he deserves to go out in possibly the best match, right? So now the question is, who is The Undertaker gonna face? Roman Reigns? Like Sheamus? I mean, what? They're gonna do a fake Taker thing again? I mean, at this point, pretty much right now, WWE has pretty much going to have to do some things change. Now, here's the names. Basically, who are people that that shouldn't face The Undertaker? Simple. Brock Lesnar, because they pretty much competed at WrestleMania 30, and they have had 2 more matches in SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell. So, pretty much that's enough there. Triple H, they've already competed in 3 WrestleManias, and The Undertaker has won all 3 of them during that undefeated streak. So, no. I mean, Bray Wyatt. I mean, they competed in last year's WrestleMania, which was not very good, and also competed in Survivor Series, and pretty much a match which was supposed to celebrate The Undertaker's 25 years with the company. which didn't do as well as the fans thought it was going to be. Pretty much, right now at this point, who is ref for the Undertaker face? I mean, one idea is pretty much they could have pretty much Sting, which in fact WWE fans have asked for pretty much years on end, and is pretty much somehow possibly going to be a freaking cock tease. Pretty much be a freaking cock tease, and pretty much WWE, you have to give us this match. Now, what can WWE do to make this card more better? Pretty much, there's a couple of ideas. One idea, for example, could be pretty much they go bold and actually get the Undertaker in the championship scene. Somehow he enters in a Royal Rumble match, and somehow he ends up winning the title, which could happen, which could be an idea, which is very bold on WWE's part. I mean, but they want to give the Undertaker one last ride with the championship as a surprise, but that is an idea. That could be an idea. Another idea is they actually decide to go against Dr. Torres and clear Daniel Bryan. But because of this witch's curse, possibly soon, pretty much if he competes in the Royal Rumble, which will be a surprise, he might just burst into flames, basically, at this point. So, another idea they could have is Kane, or an idea is they could introduce a brand new demon. That's an idea. So yeah, pretty much that's the idea. Pretty much he does basically. I don't know what left. Basically, I went a little overboard on the time here, so basically I actually will probably talk about Fontes Perfect Cincinnati debacle later. So next week, but next week I'm also asking at the end of every show. I actually ask if you guys give me one question, one question where I can just give my real honest answer about. Basically, something that's just a real honest question where you actually ask me, pretty much, and I have to give you a real honest answer about. I will answer about it on the spot. So, none ideas like, do you jerk off? Do you watch, what do you use to jerk off to? Or not, or something like how small is your dick, or anything that's overkill. That is overkill. Nothing like that. Please do not muddy up the comment sections with something like this, because I will block you. Believe me, don't fuck with me on this one. Sleep, don't fuck with me on this one. So, I'll give you an example of one. Basically, would I listen to Rebecca Black's Friday on repeat for 24 hours straight, or will I listen to any Justin Bieber song on repeat for 24 hours? Honestly, I'll listen to that Rebecca Black song Friday for 24 hours straight, pretty much, than Bieber. In fact, I will hook up with a girl pretty much while that thing is still going on. It would kill the buzz, but hey, I don't really want to listen to Bieber anyway, so that's my answer to that. So, something like that, basically. So yes, I'm Jason Johnson. This has been a JJ MMA production, and I will see you next week. See you later, guys.